Stephen Roberts, ABC News political analyst from Washington, D.C. Stephen Roberts, what's your initial reaction as to what happened last night here in St. Louis?
Look, I think Donald Trump did better than he did in the first debate, and he was more disciplined. He effectively put Hillary Clinton on the defensive on some issues, particularly the lingering email issue. But his strategy, clearly, McGraw, was to appeal to his base. When he says that he would appoint a special prosecutor, that Hillary Clinton deserved to be in jail, that echoes that chant in all of his rallies of lock her up, right? Lock her up. And I'm sure that his core supporters were thrilled last night. But they are not enough to win this election. It's about 40% of the electorate. Do the basic math. You cannot win a national election simply by appealing to a hardcore base. And if you look at the trend line,
you brag that you have sexually.
And if you look at the trend line, she is leading in key states like Pennsylvania, and mainly because she's running up huge margins among suburban, well-educated voters, particularly women. And I don't think he did anything last night to turn that trend around.
Stephen Roberts, it almost seems like Donald Trump wants to go out in a blaze of glory and take as many Republicans down with him as possible.
Well, he's placed a lot of Republicans in a very, very difficult position, including Senator Blunt in your state. Now, many Republicans who are running for re-election have decided to jump ship. If you look at Kelly Ayotte, the young senator from New Hampshire, if you look at Joe Heck, who is the Republican nominee for the open seat in Nevada, a number of them have just cut ties with Trump. Now, Senator Blunt has taken a somewhat different tack, gambling that staying with Trump is the right political move. But all Republicans, Trump has put all Republicans in a very, very difficult situation. He might have stopped the bleeding a little bit. Didn't hear anybody new this morning saying that they were not going to vote for him. But it's very, very clear that for the mainstream Republican Party, I'm told that a lot of the money, a lot of the effort, a lot of the campaign has already abandoned Trump and is being focused on the key Senate races, including the one in Missouri, which are going to help decide the majority in the U.S. Senate.
It was a debate full of insults. It was a debate lacking in specifics and/or policy. One of the few policy issues last night was that he disagrees with his vice presidential candidate, though hasn't talked to his vice presidential candidate about Russia and Syria and probably the biggest humanitarian crisis going on right now.
Well, that was kind of a bizarre moment, but it's a reflection of the fact that Donald Trump doesn't talk to anybody. He doesn't, beyond his very and increasingly narrow circle of supporters, his own family, Rudy Giuliani, and a couple of others. Even his own running mate is now sort of on the outside. But when you talk about policy, there was an interesting difference in the law, in a larger sense, McGraw, that was illuminated. Donald Trump painted a very dark picture of America. We're all losers. Our leaders are stupid. We're getting outsmarted by China and every other country. Whereas Hillary Clinton tried to paint a somewhat brighter picture, talking about the economic successes. And in some ways, she didn't have a choice because she is part of the Obama administration and she inevitably has to run to some extent on their record. But she was trying to tap into a very basic adage in American politics, which her husband followed. And her husband said he learned this from Ronald Reagan, that in American politics, the more optimistic candidate usually wins, because that's an essential element in the American character, is an optimistic viewpoint. And I think she clearly was trying to draw a distinction between her and Trump on that very basic difference last night.
Okay, Stephen Roberts, we've got 30 some odd days before Election Day. If that's what it looked like last night, what is it going to look like for the next 30 days?
Well, I think Trump has clearly decided on a scorched earth policy. You're going to hear a lot more about the women who were there last night and who have accused Bill Clinton of sexual assault. You're going to hear a lot more about locking Hillary Clinton up. I think it's going to get, and you're going to hear from Hillary Clinton a lot more about the real Donald Trump was exactly that person you saw on the tape, a man who demeans women and treats them as sexual playthings. So I think it's going to get nastier and nastier. But I think the basic trend line in this election is probably set with Donald Trump appealing to the hardcore of his supporters, but that is simply not enough to win the key swing states. And that's the trend line I see set for the last month.
Of the Republicans who left him over the last 48 hours since Friday, two of them being here in the region, Ann Wagner and Rodney Davis, along with others like John McCain and others, do you see any of them coming back onto the Trump bandwagon now because of what happened last night?
No, I don't. How do you do that without seeming to be a totally feckless and unprincipled person? I don't see that happening at all. He might have stopped a few waverers from jumping ship, including Roy Blunt, but I think that I can't imagine people are going to jump back again. Maybe the most curious person of all, of course, is Ted Cruz, who attacked Trump viciously during the campaign, then very reluctantly sided with Trump, and now, according to news reports, is yet rethinking his own position. But look, every Republican is faced with an enormously difficult problem, because as much as they want to disassociate themselves from Trump, if they do that, they're going to anger Trump supporters. Joe Heck, who was the Republican candidate for the Senate in Nevada, disavowed Trump, and he got booed at a rally the other day. So there is a price to be paid if you do that among hardcore Republican supporters of Trump. Stephen
Roberts, thanks for checking in on a busy morning. Have a good week.
Okay, pal.
You got it. Michael Reagan, the son of Ronald Reagan, tweeted out, "My father would be so embarrassed by this. I ask all who loved my father to vote down ballot to save the country and the Republican Party." He also tweeted, "He has lost his mind." 658 KTRS.
You bragged that you have sexually assaulted women. Do you understand that?
No, I didn't say that at all. I don't think you understood what was said. This was locker room talk.
Next time on the Martin Kilcoyne Show.
Randy out, having a little fun in Buffalo, but we'll kick off the week like we always do.